Hey, this is me building a $2 million per year business in public. Last month I made 139 grand, and next month I want to hit 167 grand. This is more or less a day-by-day breakdown of how I'm doing it. We start with some Q&A, then we do some growth stats. Finally, we round it out with some live strategy. This is my main channel over here, and then if you guys have any questions at all you want answered in the first few minutes of my next daily updates video, just drop it down below on any one of my videos. Let's scroll all the way down to the bottom and start adding some value. So Devansh says, hey Nick, you talked about revenue share in this video. Probably this one right here, selling an AI automation company 0 to 72K a month. Want to understand, if I'm generating leads for them or booking meetings, but still the conversion has to be done by the client, should I charge them for each meeting booked? Great question. Could you help me with how I should structure that in my head? I would want to know their current conversion rate, for example. If they convert one person for every 10 meetings, then if I charge 10K for each client, would I charge 200 to 250K or dollars for each booked meeting? Would that be a good option? So yeah, it's a good question. I just want to disambiguate between a couple things. So there's a difference between revenue share and then pay per lead or pay per meeting, which is basically, I think, what you're a little confused on. So revenue share is when, it doesn't matter how many meetings you book for the client. The only way that you get paid is if they close the meeting. So the benefit here is, if you're working with a company that closes $100,000 deals, and if you get 7% of that, every time they close the deal, you make $7,000. Sounds pretty good. The issue with that, though, is you're putting your entire livelihood in the hands of a customer or a client and their ability to close. So situations in which a revenue share works really well are situations in which you really trust the person, in which the person does very high ticket deals on the regular, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 or more. And in situations in which you yourself are financially comfortable. You're not afraid of a little bit of variability day to day. You know that you might take an L one month if it means that you're going to have a massive W a few months later. The benefits to the pay-per-lead model in cold outreach are basically your outcome, okay, your ability to make money, does not depend on anybody but you. The only thing it depends on is your ability to get booked meetings for your customer. And obviously, maximize show-up rates and stuff like that. So if you think about it, PPL or PPM or whatever the hell three-letter acronym you want to use for this is a lot lower risk of a lead generation and sales strategy, okay, to make money for you on your end. But you're essentially exchanging some upside for the decreased risk, okay? Now, all the calculations that you're doing and stuff like that, yeah, like if you want to set a price for how much money you should be charging, a good rule of thumb is basically charge around 30% of the projected revenue. So what do I mean by this? I mean, you got to ask your client during a kickoff call or whatever, hey, what's the customer lifetime value? Figure out how much a customer is worth to them. So maybe it's some digital marketing company and the customer lifetime value is $10,000, okay? It's reasonably standard. Get a client in for one day, $6,000, then there's like a percentage chance that they refer you to somebody, and then there's also a percentage chance that they book again and then do something else, right? So maybe it's $10,000, keep the math simple. And then you also have to get their conversion rate. So that's, let's say you did book 10 meetings, how many of those can they realistically close? So maybe, I'm just going to be conservative here. Maybe it's like 10%, okay? If you think about that, then what is one meeting worth to the customer? Well, if it takes them 10 meetings to close a client that makes them $10,000, then obviously kind of like the, value of a meeting is equal to approximately $1,000, right? And you can charge up to about 30% of that. So let's hypothetically say we charge 20% of that. We're trying to be a little bit cheap. That times 20% means you charge how much? $200 a meeting. Okay. So that is the pay per lead, or maybe like pay per results model. I don't know. I've heard it called a million and billion things. A rev share model would look different. A rev share model might be like a flat, 10% on all revenue generated. Flat 10% of all revenue generated. You may think like, hey, 10% here, 30% here. I'm going to go for the 30%. But I mean, like, consider that some of the guys that you're going to be working with here are going to be closing deals that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like one of my members in Maker School closed a deal for their client that was generated a lead for their client that ended up being $700,000 a few months back. I think this is like December, maybe January. Imagine taking 10% of that deal. They close a single deal of yours that you generate in pipeline, you make $70,000. So it's actually kind of hard to justify more money. And, you're going to get a lot of pushback from people unless they're at the very start line of their business, and in which case they're probably not going to be closing big 700K deals anyway. So yeah, that's sort of the mindset there. Let's cover the next person's question. Thank you very much, Devansh. Tyrone says, nice lightsaber. I built your RAG N8N chatbot the other day using Pinecone. My team is very impressed with it. Thanks for teaching me how to construct it. I'm finding a way to collect the chats to place in a spreadsheet by session ID, but I'm struggling with working it out. Any thoughts on how you'd go about it? Also thinking of parsing the chat for a name and an email to add into our CRM, but maybe later on. I think you might be losing the forest for the trees here, Tyrone, because if you're using an N8N chatbot, you don't need to like parse the chat for name and email. Yeah, don't do that. Just have the agent that you are working with, just do it automatically through a tool. So like instead of you having to like manually implement some parsing logic or maybe add an additional AI flow, just instruct it. Have like a line in your prompt that basically says, hey, we're looking for names and email addresses. So if somebody puts their name and email address here, just add them to the CRM and then try and get their name and email address using our booking flow or whatever. Okay. So you could actually eliminate some of that just right off the bat. No need to like deal with the parsing. And then to collect the chats to place in a spreadsheet by session ID, it's hard for me to really help here because I don't know what you're struggling with specifically. Is it like the logic in the workflow? Yeah. Anyway, how exactly would I go about it? Let's do it. I'm just going to jump into N8N over here. I'm imagining you're probably like talking N8N, right? Go to this non-MCP one. I was just using this for a demo the other day for one of my videos. So every time that a new chat comes in, what happens? Right? Flows through, and then we actually get an output item. Okay. If we go to JSON here, we get the output of this node as the response of the model. And if you think about it, the output of this node is the message that comes in via session ID. So what do? You just go to your Google Sheet, maybe add a row in a sheet. And I just have to like pick a random credential and I have to like choose some random ass sheet. I don't know. I'm just going to choose this one. And I'm going to choose a random sheet, which is this one. Then I'm just going to go map manually. Now, when I map manually, what do? I have all these fields here, right? Then how do I get the data from here? Well, I just drag it in. So this would be the message. And then this right over here would be like the response. So maybe every time a message comes in, you just have the message and then the response. And then, I don't know, you have some other column with like the session ID or something just to organize it. But yeah, that's how I would do it. Pretty simple and straightforward. Just, you don't need to parse the chat for a name or an email. Just use AI to do that. Seki44, who likes balancing basketballs on his forehead, says, hey, Nick, I've recently jumped on the AI hype train. Oh no, hype train. But I'm struggling with a big limiting belief, market saturation. I keep wondering if the space has been so commoditized that it's nearly impossible to stand out or compete anymore. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah, I mean, commoditization is going to happen with anything that, eventually gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're right for asking that question. Usually at the beginning of a big boom like this, though, I don't see the competition as a negative. I actually see it as a big positive. Like if all of these people are flooding into the space, odds are there's like some money to be made. And obviously a percentage of those people are going to be making more money. Like I'm making more money than most people that enter the AI agency space probably will over the course of the next couple of years. That's fine. But likewise, I probably made more money with my agency than most will make with their agencies, not even getting into like templates and coaching products and stuff like I'm now doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't get into it. Yeah, it sounds like this is more of an emotional response than it is a logical one. Like logically speaking, you could know for sure whether or not this market is too saturated for you just by giving it a try for a few months. And the actual amount of marginal effort it would take for you to do that is pretty low relative to the value that you doing it would deliver. You would learn a ton, not just about AI and automation, but also just like the wider space, how to operate with clients. Like if you just went out there and actually gave some of this a try, your downside might be like a couple $100 realistically. And then your upside would be, okay, now I know how to do business in like a high, fast moving space. And it'll really only take you a few months to like get the 80-20 there. And obviously like I'm biased, but I think that you deliver a much higher pound for pound return in this space than basically any others, at least in like the digital marketing world, which I think is important. Like, what other business are you going to realistically be able to start for a couple $100 and then just watching some moron like me yap on YouTube? Very few. Very few. Most other businesses are going to cost a lot more. So marginal cost is so low that like, there's just no reason why you shouldn't figure it out yourself, man. Don't even trust me, like just read from, watch a bunch of creators and try it yourself. And then, yeah, let me know where you land in a couple months. Okay, Randall8804 says, thanks for always answering my questions, Nick. Could you make a video, or maybe you already have, lol, of an AI autoresponder for instantly cold email campaigns? I'm going to be running campaigns for clients, not just for myself. I'm working on creating my own and using RAG so I can set it up for each client, but it's hard to get it also personalized responses. You are the master at this stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make a video on, maybe I should. I've always been like just to be blunt, I've always been anti like you set up an autoresponder to get back to instantly messages. And the reason why is because like I could understand it if an instantly message comes in at like 4 a.m. in the morning. It's okay. I'm probably not going to be around to answer that. But if they come in during business hours, like, dude, what is more important than answering that lead? That lead is money that is served up to you on a silver platter. Is there really any freer lunch than you responding to that yourself immediately, right? I don't think they understand my mindset here, but it's like, if you even have a 1% chance of you being better than an AI model at responding to that person, that is your entire business, right? So why don't you do that? There is some caveats and nuances, like I mentioned with the time stuff, but yeah, generally speaking, like, I haven't made a video specifically covering this just because I don't want people to do it. And then people, waste their time and energy and wondering why they're not getting any clients. But, just because I love you to death, I'm going to run you through what that would look like. You basically just grab an instantly webhook right over here. Okay. And you can push a webhook into make.com or whatever. You're going to get all this information, and then you're also going to get, if it's an email reply, you'll get the lead email, first name, last name, company name, website, phone, step, and then email account. And you should also get the reply itself. Yeah, reply received. And I think it's actually going to include the text. You don't actually have to do like an API call and like get another one. But I don't know. I haven't done this in like probably a month now. So if they've changed something here, then you're not going to get that. But you should get it. You definitely should. Absolutely will get that, I hope. Anyway, when you get the reply, well, now you have a reply, right? So you have all the text. So you can do one of two things. And like I actually, a lot of people they got their dick super hard about RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation. Oh my God, another 3-letter acronym. But like I don't even think I'd use RAG for most cases. I would probably just like get a model like GPT-4o. Then I'd like slam 1,000 tokens worth of context at the beginning. Like, hey, this is our business. This is what we do. This is all of the products that we have. Here's a bunch of examples of me responding to similar questions. Now, if you get an email, boom, now you have basically everything you need. I probably wouldn't increase the complexity by actually adding like dedicated RAG to this, because I think it just perform like probably the same or maybe a little bit worse. And then it would also take you all this extra time. And then it would also add a bunch of maintainability hell. So yeah, I would just literally do it all in a prompt. And then I would just, have it create the Gmail and send it back or whatnot. Do I think that this is a great idea? As I mentioned, no, I don't. I think it's much more effective if you just take these email inquiries yourself, respond to them yourself, because we're talking like, one lead might be $5,000, $10,000 customer lifetime value, right? Do you really want to bet or, chance at a 10% lower likelihood of somebody wanting to work with you if you respond with an AI because the AI screws up? Probably not. Okay, Mario Cousins says, I'd love to see these daily videos, Nick. I think your personality made a difference in your success. Thank you very much. I'd really like to know what's your daily routine like. I suppose you're working most of the day like me, XD. I'm an XD, teehee maxing kind of guy too. So I'd like to know how you manage it. When do you book your calls? When do you make your automations? And when do you film? How many hours each task? And if you're kind enough, it'd be really interesting to know if you have some leisure time at the end of the day, just chilling with family or something. I personally like to leave the chill time for the last hours of the day. You are not alone there, my friend. Thank you so much. And sorry for my English. I'm from Spain. Dude, can we just get like a W in the chat for Mario? Come on, man. Your English is fantastic. No issues there at all. Okay, so my daily routine, huh? Well, my daily routine is pretty boring. I basically like today I woke up extraordinarily early. I woke up at like 3:50 a.m. Oh, man. I have not been sleeping that well recently. Don't know why. No idea. But I will wake up at 3 a.m. at the ass crack of dawn. And then I just kind of like lie around in bed and I'm like, what the hell am I doing lying around in bed here? Like, these are valuable hours, people. You could be making money. So I'll usually roll over. Then I'll grab my laptop, then I'll start, right? And what I usually do first is I do my community management. So, I always talk about how you should be doing your daily actionables and the highest ROI revenue generating activities first, okay? So in my case, my community makes me a disproportionate amount of money, like a stupid amount of money right now. Both of them combined, I was actually just doing the math right before this daily update. After I finish it, I'll know, but it's probably like $110,000 realistically. That's a lot of freaking money, right? $110,000. Is there anything in my entire life that I could make more money per unit time working on? Probably not. So the very first thing I do is I wake up and I work on my communities. So what I mean by work, I mean I respond to a percentage of all of the posts that I see, any ones that are relevant to me. I also, as part of Maker School, do roasts. So when somebody posts their Upwork profile, for instance, they're like, roast my Upwork profile. I'll actually sit down and record a video for them. It's like a 2 or 3 minute video where I like say, hey, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. I like what you did there. Okay, great. It's also a good way for me to introduce myself to people and reduce churn and be more sticky, which is awesome. So I do that for Maker School. I do the same thing for makemoneywithmake.com, but for makemoneywithmake.com, I usually go in a lot more detail. Like I'll do like, hands-on debugging. I'll like record videos as I walk people through their automation workflows, how to fix things and that sort of stuff. And yeah, those are the first 2 things that I do. And then I'm starting to implement some new churn reduction tactics. So I might do like a customized video about how to do something, how to apply to a job on Upwork or how to write a cold email campaign. I did both of these just a little while ago. So that's the very first thing I do. Then I will usually do a daily balance check. So I will go through my bank accounts and I will figure out how much money I have and how much money I've made in the last 24 hours, which you may be thinking, hey, Nick, why are you doing this as opposed to just letting automation handle it? Well, I really like intentionally starting my day with some sort of recentered focus around money. Let's be real. We're all here to make money, improve our station in life and whatnot. So why not consciously like recenter and refocus myself on money? So many business owners get like really detached from the outcome, which is the money they're providing. So I just like to like constantly stay ground truth, ear to the floor, see the money that's exiting and entering my businesses. After that, I will do some sort of inbox zero. That just means that I go through my inbox top to bottom and I respond to all inbound emails, essentially, unless they're like really just stupid or crappy emails or somebody's trying to scam me or whatever. Obviously, I don't respond to those. And yeah, usually that'll take like 20 or 30 minutes from time to time. I just like the clarity that first thing in the morning inbox zero does. So these are all things that I just did before I recorded this. Okay, great. So usually now it's like a few hours into my day, maybe like 3 hours or so, maybe like two hours or so, realistically, 2.5. So then I'll record my daily update, which if you think about it is another actionable because it's like a sales and marketing activity for me now. You'd be surprised at the number of people that have converted directly from this daily updates channel to my communities. It's nowhere near as much as my main channel, given that I'm 1/30th of the volume right now. But I mean, it's definitely more than 1/30th of the traffic. It's probably like 1/10th of the traffic. I need to track this better, but yeah. So this is another like high ROI thing for me. And then it also just sets my day up to do recordings and do content. And then usually after that, I'm like nice and warmed up. So if I record a video, that's when I record my video. If I have like a call or something like that, let's say like a group seminar or whatever, I'll do it right then. So, I'm nice. I'm kind of in the zone. Everything's good to go. And I've just spent the last few hours of my life talking, essentially. I will do client management client management. I really just mean like client availability between 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. PT. And so I just do that through Slack. So usually I'll like check in and there'll be like a couple of messages from one of my clients or I don't know. It kind of depends on the project. There's some instances in which I literally don't hear from clients for like 2 weeks at a time and they just pay me regardless. And I'm like, oh, this shit's pretty great. And that's just because I built systems that are operating independently in the background, delivering them value. They don't really care too much. And they think that like, I guess my light turned off, that the value that I'm providing isn't necessarily related to me just being there physically at any point in time, which is great. And obviously I try and encourage that wherever possible. I will leave my client work. So sometimes I have to build automation. Sometimes I actually have to like put systems together, although that's a lot less now, to be frank, until the end of the day. And that might take me like 45 minutes to an hour, assuming that we have a big project in the queue. Otherwise, it's usually just me doing a little bit of strategizing. Like, okay, last 6 months, we took client A from, I don't know, $15,000 a month to like, well, I don't have anybody at $15,000 a month, but $80,000 a month to like $110,000 a month or something. So what was responsible for that win? How exactly can we replicate it and keep on pushing on that button that's made us some money? I used to do like team training and stuff like that at defined days of the week. I no longer do that, thank freaking God. What else? Oh yeah, learning. I'm trying to do a little bit of learning now. I mean, the space is moving really quickly, and I tend to just focus on things that work, not like the new and shiny objects. But to be frank, you do need to, when you're a content creator like me, you do need to kind of know what's going on in the world in order to stay up to date and be reasonable when you get on a podcast or a discussion or something. So I'll do a little bit of learning. Right now, I'm doing a bunch of learning about, I'm doing like AI agents and MCP and architecture and that sort of stuff. But I'm also doing like kind of like some weird things like AI for video editing, for instance. That's a niche that I think is going to be really big in the next couple of years. I'm also doing a lot of self-learning right now in AI safety, as I was mentioning at the end of my last video, just because I think that's a really interesting space and there's a lot of value to make an impact there. Yeah, that's probably most of it, I would say. Can't really think about anything else. Oh, and then, I'll have like various administrative tasks throughout my day. Like, I don't know, the other day I just had to like send a bunch of emails. I had to like contact my accountant for tax purposes. I had to like just do little one-off things. So if I have anything there, if you think about it, that's like the lowest ROI stuff. Like a brain dead monkey could just go through and do these things line item by line item. So that's when I'll do them. And then regarding leisure time, yeah, like I have a fair amount of leisure time. It's not like I'm a ceaseless worker robot that just is trading my, I don't know, burning the candle that is my life at both ends in exchange for money, which really can't do anything for you once you're dead. So yeah, like I'll hang out with my girlfriend usually, or my family's coming back. They've been in Europe for the better part of the last 6 months, so they're finally coming back. I'm gonna get to see them, spend some time with them. That's gonna be fun. So probably in about a week or so, most of my leisure time is gonna be there. Um, yeah, hang out with some friends. That's about it, I would say. Hopefully that gives you an idea as to my daily schedule. Nothing super crazy, as I'm sure you could tell. You probably have a very similar daily schedule. The difference, I think, between people that like make a ton of money and the people that maybe don't make as much money is just, yeah, it's just, it's just consistency with the daily actionables, I would say. Just consistency with the daily actionables. Okay, one more. YZ400F King says, hey, Nick, when you're doing one-off projects for retainers, did you ever get objections from clients who were essentially calculating your hourly rate and were upset it was too high? I.e., you charged me $10K for this project, but you finish it in 2 days. That's insane. I don't even pay my lawyer that high of an hourly rate. I understand they should be happy the value is delivered, but I'm curious how you'd handle this objection. Yeah, I mean, like, dude, I wouldn't, well, like, just to be frank with you, you got to kind of have a little bit of social nuance here. If you charge somebody $10,000 for a project, don't finish it in 2 days. Let's just be real. Okay. Like, that's the first thing to do. That's probably the simplest hack. So just don't finish the project that is $10,000 in 2 days, because you want there at least to be the perception of a lot more going into this thing than there actually is. I don't really know how else to pitch that. I mean, like, is that necessarily immoral or unethical? I don't think so. I think it's just being pragmatic and realistic about like the way that clients perceive value. Yeah, like if there's a lot that goes on in a system and then I just like hustle my ass off and do it in 24 hours and I don't sleep a wink and then I deliver it in 24 hours, even though I did a ton of work over the last 24 hours, the client will necessarily perceive that as lower value. So no, I'm just a little bit smart about it, and I like, spread it out over time. That's why my average turnaround time for that sort of stuff is usually like 3 to 5 days for my retainer clients, which just means that 3 to 5 business days, usually like once a week, they'll have some sort of deliverable in front of them, which is nice. Yeah, so that's number one. Okay. Number two is obviously the value of the thing that you are providing is not, it's obviously not in the amount of time that it took you to do that stuff, but like, it sounds like you already understand that. It's just a matter of convincing your client of that. And, in order to like convince your client of that, know that, I would just frame everything as like, I don't know, as like a proof, not a proof of concept, but like a minimum viable product sort of deal. Like if you are, for whatever reason, if you want to like do the work within 2 or 3 days and then deliver it to them, just note that like that's an MVP product, and then build in some designated revision period or something, or designated revision ask, where it doesn't just seem like you've whipped up the entire thing start to finish with all of their specs perfectly in 2 days, because odds are they're not going to be happy with it if it's in 2 days. They're going to think like, oh my God, I want to change this, I want to change that. Clearly it didn't take them too much time, so let's make them do that as well. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit of social nuance, I would say, and just like client management. Expertise, just to be pragmatic, do not finish projects for $10,000 in 48 hours. If you have a contract for, I don't know, if it's like $1,200 or whatever, yeah, you can do it in like 24 hours and then send it back. That's fine, whatever. But if it's like a $10,000 5-figure project, you're starting to get into like the bigger amounts. Like, don't do it all at once. It's like the whole design adage. Like, clients will always request at least one revision if they can. So it's like, some designers will intentionally screw up tiny parts of their project, just the tiniest thing. They'll like add a logo somewhere that they shouldn't have, or change the color on something that they know doesn't look good. Why? So that's the first thing that a client sees when they hand it in. And so that's the thing the client says, hey, this is perfect, except would you mind changing that really quick little thing? And then you're like, okay, cool. And then the client has the illusion that they were like a big part of this process, when in reality, you were kind of shepherding that whole thing. Yeah, that's kind of like the AI automation agency version of that, to be blunt. Cool. So that's it for questions today. Hopefully I provided some value there. Let's do our lovely brand stats. I just moved over to a new Excalidraw page, so I'm going to be putting this link in the description now instead. So it's going to be different from the other one. If we head over to Blast Up and then my brand stats sheets, My main channel, 6376. Very cool. Paste that in there. Only 168. Well, that makes sense. I'm doing it pretty early, and then yesterday I was doing it pretty late. So I'm not going to cry a river about that. My Instagram channel apparently is an unknown error. Dun, 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 dun. This is going to be 62,802. So sometime in the next few hours, my Instagram is going to be bigger than my YouTube. That's going to be pretty sick. And my daily updates channel is now at 2227. It's right over here. And then 46 whole dollars in ad revenue, man. Just got myself a nice lunch. That's sick. Cool. Yeah, so that's that. Pretty exciting, right? Now, in terms of what I'm going to be doing today, most of my work is going to be in figuring out exactly how I want to schedule and publish these 3 videos in the queue. We got another one coming in on MCP. And I think just because MCP is like the hot topic right now, well, it's not the hot topic, but like OpenAI just like express support for MCP. So I'm going to like find a way to weave that title in there. Like OpenAI just announced MCP support, breaking news. And then I'm going to like run people through how to like build an MCP thing, basically. I think that probably makes the most logical sense to start with. So, I'm going to start the return of my consistent posting on my main channel. And then notice how I had like a queue there of like 3 videos, plus the MCP one that's going to be 4, plus maybe another one that I'm going to record today that's going to be 5. I'd like to have like some sort of flexible queue so that I could publish daily or as close to daily as possible. Maybe I'll take the Friday off. I noticed that results are pretty bad when I post like late on Friday. So maybe I'll take that day off. And then just like stack a queue so that I never really miss another sequence like that again. Because I'm not going to lie, like the 2 weeks that I was not posting videos on my main channel, those have made an impact on my revenue. I would probably have been really close to my $167,000 goal had I not taken those 2 weeks off. But because I did, growth slowed. And when you don't post regularly, basically all of your metrics start to suck more. Like your churn rates go up across everything when you don't post. Why? I don't know. I guess you're just not top of mind anymore. That's my theory. I'm not really sure. But like when you don't post consistently, basically everything sucks all the time. I was also in a bad headspace, I would say, after looking at how long it's been since I posted on that main channel. And yeah, like, one thing that my content strategist guy, Malik, was saying to me that I've just been thinking a lot about was, what's the unique advantage to my content? And so I've actually like objectively been able to evaluate my unique advantage. And I have 2 main unique advantages, okay? The first unique advantage is my ability to articulate concepts clearly, which is nice. My second is to go off the cuff and just talk all day. So I can articulate things clearly when I have it in front of me and I understand it. I can explain it to people, and that's great because then I can do my screen share and ident stuff, make.com stuff. People learn and they understand. But then my second one is I can just yap forever. I wonder if those 2 are like, if they're like mutually opposed, actually. Like I yap on and on about nothing. I don't know. But yeah, so I can talk about nothing for a very long time with very little prompting. So the value and benefit to that, if you think about it, my unique advantage really, if you combine those 2, is I can make a ton of content very quickly. And so even if hypothetically my content were not as good as somebody else, production value wise, or maybe just like, I don't know, the systems or whatever, I could just make so much damn content. It's crazy. And yeah, like people just tend to like it. It's more conversational. It's long form. I have like a niche, right? So whereas most other people are going to be posting once every 3, once every 4, once every 5 days, I just post every single day across all of my main accounts. And by the end of the year, I'll have accrued massive subscriber base. I got pretty down in the dumps yesterday. I'm not going to lie. I thought like a lot about my approach over the last few months. And I was like, man, I've been on YouTube now publishing, not consistently, sorry. I started publishing like February the 1st or February the 7th, 2024, right? So think about that. February the 7th, 2024, it's currently March the 20, whatever. It's been like 400 days since then. I've published 160 videos. That means that I could have published 2.5 times as many videos, assuming I publish daily. And I guarantee you, if I'd published 2.5 times as many videos, I would have 2.5 times as many subs. I'd probably have like 150K subs right now. So why am I doing that? Why don't I just publish more videos, basically, is I guess the whole point of this. I was even thinking about going a little bit crazy, and I don't know if this is a good idea, but maybe I'd experiment with posting twice a day on some of my channels. Like I can do it. I have the capacity to. I mean, I have the ideas now. I am the bottleneck in this, right? I mean, I did not used to be, well, I guess I used to be the bottleneck, but like the recording is not the bottleneck anymore. Recording was the bottleneck. Sorry. Editing is not the bottleneck anymore. editing used to be my bottleneck. Now recording's the bottleneck. So if I just increase my number of daily recordings, like I could theoretically shit out like 2-3 videos a day and that'd be pretty good. Right? Probably like 90th percentile, 95th percentile videos. So what if I just do that, publish 3 long form YouTube videos a day, like half an hour each, and people are just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on? They're all like interesting systems. You always get to see me do them live. I don't plan them out ahead of time. A lot of it's serendipitous. What kind of future would that look like? How quickly could I grow then? I don't know. There's a trade-off between volume and then, your ability to rank for sure. So I'm not pretending like I know the answer there, but yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm at. And that's, I guess, some of my high-level strategizing for the day. Hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions you guys want to answer in the next daily update, just drop them down below this video. Thank you very much for submitting all of them so far. Engagement's been through the roof, and I appreciate the $46 in advertising revenue. Have a lovely rest of the day. I'll see y'all tomorrow.